Hey guys, Razorblade Apple Films here. Today we're going to be doing a review on the brand new, beautiful, and perfected Griptilian made by Benchmade. This is the 550-1. It's one of their newer models. I think it was released at the beginning of the year or maybe the end of last year. But I was never really interested in getting a Griptilian until I saw this one because... Well, actually, I kind of was because I wanted to try the Axis lock, but the first Benchmade I ended up getting was the 300-1, and I didn't like the plastic-looking handles. I just thought it looked kind of bad. So when I found out there was going to be a G10 model, I was like, oh, you know, that's excellent. So I'm probably going to get that one. So yeah, it's got a lot of improvements and enough improvements to make me want to get it. So I guess we're going to start getting into the design. Alright, and first and foremost, it should be worth noting that I've only had this knife for about a week now, maybe a little bit more, but I haven't really used it that much, so this is more of a kind of a first impressions than a review. But, you know, I haven't really gotten a chance to test the steel that much. And that's one thing we should talk about, is this is a different steel. Let's just talk about the differences between this and the original Griptilian first. So, the original 550-1, or the original 550, isn't a is a hollow ground, which basically means, you know, if you look at in the front, it's kind of like an inverted grind, like a concave. But this is a flat ground knife, or a saber ground, but it is flat ground all the way up until this point. But basically, that means the blade is going to be thicker all the way kind of till the tip. And this does have a really thick tip on it. I always really like that because I don't have to feel like I have to kind of baby this knife when I'm using it or be careful with it. So I really like that improvement, and it hasn't made it, you know, I haven't had the original, so I don't know how well it's sliced. But I cut a tomato with this knife, and I got some really thin slicings, you know, I mean, it's sliced through the tomato like really well. And then I cut some cardboard too just to see, and it feels like it's really thin through the edge. But, you know, it's sliced really well, so that's surprising for how thick the blade is. So I really like that. It is made of 20 CPM-20CV, I think is what it's called. Yeah, CPM-20CV. And they're usually 154 cm, though if you use their custom knife making program, you can get like M4 and S30V or whatever you want. But usually they are 154 cm. And the newest models, all of these, which are going to be standard production runs, all of the -1 series are going to be 20 CV. You can get it in this blade shape. You can get the, you know, drop point, and you can get the mini Griptilians, and then, you know, you can get them all coated in black. So there's a bunch of variety with the G10 handles, the G10 handled models. So yeah, that's a huge improvement. The steel upgrade. There's the G10 handles, which I don't really care that much about the steels, but I really like the G10 handles. It's just really nice gray G10. You see right there. Still got the same texture as the other one, though I think they took out some of the jimping. But it's got jimping right here. Yeah, I don't think it had. I think the original model had some right here. It's got some jimping up here, right here. I mean, it doesn't feel that like it locks your hand into place like the Paramilitary 2. Like, that jimping just seems to just grab your thumb, mainly because of that huge ramp, but this jimping is a little bit more round. It's comfortable, though. It doesn't feel like, you know, abrasive. So, you know, I don't really care that much about the jimping. So it is G10 handle. That's always nice. It's not a textured G10. I mean, there's some texture in here, but bringing the Paramilitary 2 back in here, you know, this has got kind of a... You can hear that sound. It's got kind of a coarse texture, if you can see that. This one's polished. So it's got black hardware. I think that looks nice. The inside looks really nice. It's got this blue G10 kind of liners. Well, they don't go all the way down, but it's got some blue G10 in here, and then it's got some blue anodized aluminum right here in the standoffs. That looks really nice. It's got a lanyard hole right here for the people who like using lanyards. I really love this. I love deep carry pocket clips, so I really was excited to see that it came with one of these, like in the standard version. So that's nice. The original Griptilian came with a pocket clip like this, like on the 940. But this is a huge upgrade for me because I love deep carry pocket clips, and you can see it's got their butterfly logo right here. Yeah, and the original one is closed off right here, and this one actually doesn't have any, it's a full flow-through construction, so it's going to be easier to clean out overall. The weight on this one seems a little blade heavy, it's kind of wanting to like fall forward, whereas a Paramilitary 2, if you kind of have one of these, it's not like that. This seems a little handle heavy, and the blade feels really light. This seems a little like it's got like a light handle and a really heavy blade. So it's just kind of something to, not get used to, but it's just kind of something you notice when you're using it. It feels a little bit different when you're cutting. So I guess talk about the axis lock. If you don't know how that works, basically all you have to do is just pull this little lever back, and the blade will fall. Now this one was so smooth that it fell freely on its own weight. So, it's really easy to close. Free swinging blade. And if you can see, I'm trying to hold it straight up. You're not going to be able to see it all, but it just falls on its own weight. Very smooth, much like the Paramilitary 2. But yeah, I really like the axis lock. It's a really, as far as deployment, it's a really fun knife to. It feels just really, really smooth. Like it's like there's like no resistance at all. Even my 940 feels a little bit gritty. Maybe it's just because I've used it and there's some stuff in the pivot, but this just feels really smooth out of the box. And flicks open well. Though if you do flick it open, like you can see if I flicked it open like that, you get a little bit of lock stick, or feel the axis lock is a little gritty, but the blade feels really smooth. But yeah, you can flick it out with the thumb like that. You can flick it out kind of by putting your nail in there. You can do the Spyderco kind of middle finger flick. It's easy enough to do it with both hands. Oh yeah, and I was really surprised to see this. Mine was a first production run. I didn't even know I was going to get one of those. And it's a pretty low number, 279. So that's pretty cool. And it's got a kind of a nice stone wash on there too. I don't know if the original has that, but it looks pretty nice. I don't know if you can see it. The light's kind of glaring. Here's what the grind looks like from the factory. Mine, my 300-1 kind of came with a bit of a screwed up grind near this part of the blade, so this one came pretty nice. So like I said, there are a bunch of varieties you can get this knife in. I chose the spider hold version with the sheep's foot blade. This knife this blade shape just kind of speaks to me a little bit more. I think it's a little bit more useful for EDC when you have when the tip is kind of like if you drew like an imaginary center line through the middle of the blade. When the edge of when the point of the knife, the tip is like below that center line, you kind of have this sheep's foot blade length. Blade shape. Rather, a Wharncliffe is what some people would call it, but a Wharncliffe has a straight edge. But still, I like Wharncliffes and sheep's foots. Aesthetically they look cool to me, and I think functionally they work well because I do a lot of pull cuts, opening boxes. Yeah, I just like this blade shape a little bit better. So, but it's really personal preference. They'll both do the same things, equally well. If you like the drop point version, go with that if that looks a little bit better to you. But I do like this version because you can do the spider flick. And I'm used to a bunch of Spyderco knives. I've got the Paramilitary 2 is my most used Spyderco. Well, actually, my most used one is probably the Delica, but my favorite one is probably the Paramilitary 2. But yeah, I'm a little bit more used to this, so I chose this model. And like I said, I like this a little bit better. But if you were getting this purely as a self-defense knife or something like that, if you wanted to get more than one Griptilians, I would say get a mini Griptilian with this blade shape, and you can then get the full-size Griptilian with the a little bit more of a stabby blade shape. That being said, this knife does work really well. I would think it would for self-defense, because, you know, while this blade might not look as lethal, so to speak, as the drop point version, the 551, this knife stabs really well. Here's just a quick little spine whack test for you. Pardon the sound of the air conditioner. Yep, didn't seem to have a problem, so I think that axis lock is pretty strong. Here's a quick shot of how the Benchmade Griptilian will fit in your pocket. And I really like this gray G10. You know, I like the color gray. So I've had a Delica in gray, the Rat one in gray. So I don't mind this G10, but I can understand why some people would want it in black or a bunch of other colors. So that'd be kind of cool if Benchmade did offer this as a standard model in multiple different colors. But you know, if they did that, I still probably would have chose gray. So I don't mind that personally. Anyway, here's how it looks in the pocket. So, you know, it's going to ride really nicely and discreetly. And that blue is going to show a little bit, but, you know, it hides really nice. I think all pocket clips should be like this. That being said, this is probably painted with that crappy black Benchmade paint that's going to wear off really easily. So I might get another clip for this. I wish there was a Parkerized deep carry clip. You know, people always say that Benchmade will send you a free clip, and, you know, I don't like any of their clips, really. You know, I like deep carry, but they don't have one that's not just painted. I mean, unless they have like a chrome deep carry clip, that'd be kind of nice. Anyway, that's how it rides in the pocket. So as soon as I picked this knife out of the box and realized how smooth it was, how much I liked the G10, how cool the colors are, the deep carry pocket clip, you know, everything about this knife I really like. The open construction to where it's easier to clean out. It makes it a little bit lighter weight, though actually I don't know about that. It might not, since the G10's heavier than the FRN type material. So but you know, it feels pretty light in the pocket. And the thicker tip, and it slices really well. I mean, everything about this knife I really liked. This is going to be, you know, I don't know if it's just because I just got the knife and I'm like obsessed with it, but this is one of those knives I feel like that's going to be like in the top 4. I'll show some size comparisons real fast, along with the other knives that I really, really like. Here is the Paramilitary 2. You know, the angle is going to be a little off. I'll adjust the camera in a second. Paramilitary 2 is like my favorite Spyderco knife. Just a great all-around knife. This is the... You know, I said that I liked the Domino a lot in my review, and I do like the Domino a lot, but I honestly think after carrying it for a while, I like the Sage a little bit more. I don't know. I just like the Sage more. So this is one of the all-time favorites. So, and my other all-time favorite is the 940 by Benchmade. I'll put that down there. So there's kind of a size comparison of those knives. I feel like I've gotten used to a little bit bigger of a knife, like with the 940 and with the Paramilitary 2. They seem a little bit bigger. I kind of like knives in that category. So I didn't really want to get the mini Griptilian. I decided to just get the full-size Griptilian. I thought it was like the best of both worlds because, like I said, it still stabs really well. It could be used as a self-defense knife. But, you know, I think this knife could excel at maybe like food prep or just regular EDC tasks. You know, overall, just a really nice knife to have. And let's compare it to that 940 real fast again. Let me move my camera up. So they're about, I'm trying to like, you know, match them up. They're about the same size. If you can see, the cutting edge is about the exact same. and the Benchmade Griptilian just has a much larger handle. So I didn't really talk about ergonomics. Ergonomics, you know, because it's a thick knife. Let's compare it to the 940 again. You know, it's a much thicker knife than the 940. And I just love when they add little accents of color like that. Look at that. Like the green and the purple and the gray and the blue. I love when Benchmade does that. They should do that a lot more often. I think they're starting to do that a little bit more. They're listening to some of the people. But yeah, the ergonomics feel great in the hand. If you're really squeezing it, it fills your hand nicely. But you know, most likely you're probably not going to be using that grip unless you're carving wood or something. So usually I kind of just have a relaxed kind of, I don't know what the technical term for this grip is, but kind of just like this. I don't know, maybe if you're cutting through something really, I mean, you know, it feels good in the hand overall. And that G10 just feels so much better than the FRN type material, whatever it's called. I'm sure they have some actual name for it, but it's just plastic. I've held some in the stores, and it just felt kind of, I don't know. I just didn't like the look of it really. It didn't really feel that bad. Like it gave good grip and it was light, but I just didn't like how it looked. I do like the G10 a lot better. And yeah, it's just a fun knife to play with. Like I said, you can just pull that axis lock down. It'll open itself pretty much, but you know, you can sling it open. You don't even really have to sling it. Just a really fun knife to play with overall. It was like completely smooth out of the box. Didn't have to do anything to it. Like I said, I got that first production run, so that's kind of cool. I mean, overall, this is just a knife that I'm really gonna like. I'll probably make an update in another knife review. I'll probably comment more on what I think of the steel, or you know, how it's held up or anything. But I think this is a knife that I'm just really gonna like. Let's actually compare it to one more knife. Here it is next to a Spyderco Manix 2, and this is another knife that's, you know, kept on impressing me. I didn't really like it that much when I first got it, but this blade shape and the steel they use is almost just worth getting the knife. This knife is so sharp. It's sharper than like all my other knives. So really good at slicing. But overall, if I had to choose between the two, I'd probably pick the Benchmade. Now, I don't know about those four that I showed you last time. You know, between the Paramilitary 2 and the Sage and the 940, I don't know which one I like out of all those, but over the Manix 2, I would definitely recommend it. And about the price change, it's $165 as compared to the regular Griptilian, which is usually like the budget Benchmade. It's like a $100 knife. This one's going to be $165, so you know, is that worth it? You're going to have to make that decision yourself, but I really think it is, because everything they added is just, you know, everything I wanted out of the original Griptilian that didn't have it, that pretty much kept me from buying it. So, you know, if you like all those changes, I would definitely recommend it. I wouldn't think of it as a Griptilian that's $65 more. I think of it now as something that's actually comparable to like a Paramilitary 2 or something. So that's my review on the new 550-1 Griptilian with the gray G10. Overall, just really like the knife. Highly recommend you get one. So thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed it.